came there on a Thursday, and that Thursday night I heard what sounded like a riot going on about 9 blocks from my house. Half of the people swearing in Italian and half of them swearing in Swedish. So I walked on up to what is Roseland Park. I don't know if it's still Roseland Park.
It is.
And it was a baseball game going on between the Jamestown Vikings, 7 of whom were named Carlson, 3 of whom were named Red Carlson, and the almost all-Italian national worsted team. And that was my introduction to diamond sports in the Jamestown area. Wonderful fellow by the name of Slatsnik Asia, who I believe is gone now, was the manager of the national worsted team. He and I would have some tremendous brawls before this was all over. We lived on 14th Street, which meant that I was like about 2.5 miles from the stadium. But my father would drive me down to the games, and that was, even at that time, that was a long walk. I'd never lived in a place with so many hills. It was there that I was inducted into the press box group of Frank Hyde and a wonderful fellow by the name of Lefty Wasburn, who had a mythical hooker by the name of Six-Way Sal, and sat next door to Jim Roselli, who was the baseball broadcaster.
Yes.
And we were supposed to slip baseball scores through this hole in the wall of Jim Roselli. And one day Lefty Wasburn slipped something through the hole that was not a baseball score, and we probably cannot put on television. At that time, the entire, what we then called the Pony League, was located within, gee whiz, like a 2-hour drive of Jamestown. It was Jamestown, Bradford, Olean, Cornell, Wellsville, Batavia, Lockport, and every year we get a different team in Canada. I think the year I was there, it was Hamilton. And Tony Lupien was the manager. And they would be packed for those ball games, night after night after night, and it was a darn good team. One of my great memories was on a 4th of July night. There was a fellow by the name of Alex McNeilance who came in and pitched the entire, we were playing Hornell, and first place was at stake. And McNeilance came in and he pitched the entire first game, which was 13 innings. The second game went 14 innings, and he came in and pitched relief. And my father sat outside the gate waiting for me for 2.5 hours. I came out, he was about to box me. I said, what the hell was going on in there? I said, Dad, they played 27 innings for first place in this league. After a short while, Waite Forsthye realized what a real ball fan I was, and I could take notes, and then I could speak a sentence or two. And he called me one day, and he had to have a nickname for everybody. He said, Specs, how would you like to go to work for me? So at the age of only 13, and with the state child labor board looking the other direction, I went to work as a full-time sports writer for the Jamestown Sun. At the time, there were 8 sports writers in town, and 6 of them were left-handed, myself included. Matter of fact, 7 of them. Dent Thorpe was one of those. And after a year working with Waite, Frank Hyde, after convincing the people who owned the Post-Journal that the Doug Smith whose byline that they had seen in the Jamestown Sun was actually another Doug Smith, got me a job at the Jamestown Post-Journal, where at the age of 14 I started working for 75 cents an hour. And those nights in that ballpark, with the Muni League and with that professional baseball team, were really sort of what shaped my life. But what especially, I hope, God, I hope, that what I learned in Jamestown, and particularly from Frank Hyde, was a dedication to get it right and to do it right. And if it wasn't right, it was your fault. And Frank was such a wonderful fellow. He had the greatest way of getting somebody to do a story that they didn't want to. He sent me out to cover a beagle trial. A beagle trial! I didn't know which end of the beagle barked. But he would come up and he would put his arm around me and say, Doug, I want you to go out there and give that the old Doug Smith touch. Now, you know, who could give anything less than their best with a man like that? And we were to check, and we were to check every box score that came in. Everything that came in, it had to be absolutely accurate, and no favoritism was to be shown to the home team or any other team. We would say more about Jamestown than we would about Erie Central, for example, because more people were interested in Jamestown than Erie Central. But your story could not be biased against Erie Central. You had to be fair. And many times, many of the coaches, and particularly Vince Joy, would get sore at me for not taking their side in arguments with referees. So far as baseball was concerned, one of the great memories that I have, I remember Jamestown playing Wellsville And Wellsville had a really dreadful pitcher by the name of Red Gookin, who came in and he walked 4 in a row on 16 pitches. And the manager came out and took him out of the game. And then his catcher got hurt, and the manager had to go in and catch. And then the next pitcher came in, and he pitched to 3 batters, and he walked 3 batters on 12 pitches. So now there'd been 28 pitches from 28 balls. 4 runs were in, the bases were still loaded. And the manager, who was now catching, because they had shorter rosters at that time, came out from behind the plate, put his arm around the pitcher as if to talk to him. And the whole time he's got his arm around him, he's taking the catching gear off, putting it on the pitcher, taking the pitcher back behind the plate and showing him how to catch.
That's terrific.
And showing him how to catch, and the manager throws 1 pitch, and whoever was batting for Jamestown hit it way the hell up on College Hill up there. And so they had 8 runs on 1 hit. We had there at the time, what I remember was the great number of players who came through Jamestown and went on to play with the Tigers. Second baseman Frank Bowling, another second baseman named Dick McAuliffe, and a couple of pitchers named Frank Larry and Duke Moss. Frank Larry went on to I think still stands as the greatest pitching record against the Yankees. He was 27-10 against the Yankees when he went on to play with Detroit. We also had a left fielder by the name of Chick King, and he had a cannon. And we were playing Wellsville at the time, and Wellsville had a catcher who was very slow and hit the ball on a rope, and King was playing left field. And his catcher comes up, and I can't recall the fellow's name, and he was pretty slow, and he hits one on a line over the shortstop out to King in left field, who was playing fairly shallow for whatever reason. King takes 1 step, picks up the ball, and realizes that from left field he can throw this guy out at first base. So he winds up and he throws. The ball goes not over the first baseman's head, it goes over the first baseman's bleachers, it goes over the fence behind there, bounces in the middle of Faulkner Street, and rolls across the street into 10-pin alleys. Probably the first time that a ball has ever been thrown out of a ballpark and wound up in a bowling alley. An unfortunate thing happened there. After Lupien left, they brought in a manager by the name of Bob Shawkey, who had been with the Yankees. And the first year that you could get really good television in Jamestown was the first year that they really started to have a weak team. And that team sort of trailed off, and you could sense the interest tail off. And that really was too bad, because Frank did everything he possibly could for them. I mean, he scored, he did everything he possibly could. He'd be at the ball game at 11 o'clock at night, and he'd come in at 4 o'clock the next morning and start lining up his pages. But that was my time in Jamestown. It was a time I cannot tell you how much I cherish it. And if I've left out any details, I'll let you know later.